Hello everyone. I am Mac Daniel R. Aparicio. I'm gonna discuss this topic, which is groundwater and civil engineering projects. Let's get started. Before we proceed to our topics, let's get read these objectives. Determine the effects of groundwater to the engineering projects and the effects of structure to the groundwater. Groundwater has been a long problem for engineers. Kasi yung groundwater kasi guys, dito pinapakita kung ano yung effects niya sa mga structures o mga engineering projects. Pinapakita nila ano yung damage na na nakukuha ng mga engineers because of groundwaters lang. We cannot end this section of groundwater without discussing the engineering projects. We will see practical examples that show problems caused by interaction between water engineering projects and errors that can occur if these interactions are not understood and analyzed during planning and resolved with the necessary confidence. The relationship between water and construction works in two ways: groundwater effect on construction and the effect of structure on groundwater. Next is general problems related to the groundwater during the construction of engineering projects. Dito ma-discuss natin isa-isa yung mga problems na or mga causes nga nun yung mga effect ba sa groundwater sa engineering structures. Let's proceed. First one is the hydrostatic pressure. The pressure exerted by a fluid at the equilibrium at a given point within the fluid due to the force of gravity. Dito guys, mapapansin natin. May picture akong may provide para mas maintindihan natin kung ano tong hydrostatic pressure. As you can see in the pictures, there are 3 holes. Makita natin may 3 holes, diba dyan? The first hole, makita natin yung flow ng tubig is mahina. Mahina siya. In the second hole naman, makikita natin na parang galakas na yung iyahang flow. Yung flow rate niya, malakas na. And the last one, and the third one, yung nasa baba, is not have a strongest flow. As you observe, mapapansin natin yung pagkakaiba ng tatlo. As you go deeper, the pressure increase. Yan yung hydrostatic pressure guys. Yung the more you go deeper, the more you go deeper in the water, the more the pressure it increases. Di ba makita niyo yung pang mga halimbawa magbulagay ka ng bakal papuntang ilalim sa dagat. Di ba nayuyupi 'yon? Yes, because of the pressure sa tubig na nandun sa ilalim. Dahil the more it goes deeper, the more it increases the pressure. Paano ba nakakaapekto ang hydrostatic pressure sa engineering projects? When hydrostatic pressure builds up, it can literally push water through the tiniest of cracks in poured foundations, wall, and wreak havoc on your home. This pressure can push so strongly that it will bend and bow a black hole. Napakalakas ng hydrostatic pressure guys. Kaya niyang i-bend as you can see the picture. If you have a basement in your house, then hindi siya na-prepared or hindi siya nagawa to hindi siya nagawa ng maayos or hindi siya naging prepare for hydrostatic pressure. Ito mangyayari sa kanya guys. As you can see dito sa may mga blue, that is the water na nahuhulog kung mag-ulan, ganyan. Mahulog siya, tapos maiipon siya sa ibaba ng lupa. Then as you can see, di ba, as you go deeper, the more pressure increases. Yun nga, nag-increase yung pressure guys, and the hydrostatic pressure is gina-push niya dito. Yung sa may wall, gina-push ng hydrostatic pressure, kaya that's why it causes this damage na mayroong stress cracks, floor cracks, and nag-leak yung napasok ng tubig sa loob ng basement, and stair cracks. That's why how hydrostatic pressure affects the engineering projects. Let's proceed. The next one, which is the seepage force. Seepage force Water was a static in the previous case, but in seepage, it is a moving. Head losses that occur as water travels through the medium generate a force called the seepage force. This force acts on particles on the ground to break the water. Because this force is proportional to hydraulic gradient, is particularly noticeable in impermeable formations where head losses are significant. So, seepage force daw guys is as you can see this picture, may provide ako na picture guys to understand it well. So, as you can see the picture, makita natin yung flow rate. Yung tubig is flowing horizontally. So, ga-flow siya horizontally. So, then, kita yung parang brown. Yan is the soil or lupa. Yung lupa natin or muds. So, as the water flows horizontal, also the muds or sands or grains are flowing horizontally. So, makikita yan doon, that is the seepage force. Kung kasabay siya sa flow ng water, that's the seepage force. So, the most unfavorable case that of fine-grained sediments that lack cohesion. Cohesion guys is the tightness or pagkadikit nila or the pagka-dense nila. Hanggang sila kadikit. So, kulang lang siya ng cohesion. So, the sands and aggregate sheets, grains are easily erode from these sediments, creating quicksand and causing internal erosion, which is very dangerous. In excavation, deep holes in water-bearing aquifers are very subjected to this risk, as well as landslides. So, napakadelikado ng seepage force. It causes landslide din. So, next. So, kadalasan itong seepage force ay nasa dams. So, as you can see in this case, in the earthen dams, this phenomenon can be prevented by placing a drainage facility at the toe of the dam. This drainage bin makes the flow lines in the dikes quasi-vertically, allowing the seepage force to stabilize the dam. So, because of the seepage force, di ba, yung seepage force parang nadadala yung lupa. So, in dam, makita yung dam, di ba, nagapundo yan, tubig yan. So, if the mud will magpunto talaga yan sa pinakamababa or the bottom part sa dam. So, parang maring magkakos ito ng damage. So, in order to stabilize the seepage force, they make a drainage system below. So, that's why, dyan yung dadaan yung seepage force, guys. Then, dadaan sa seepage force. For the seepage force, dili siya ma-stuck o para ma-stabilize po siya. So, next is the modification of properties in unconsolidated sediment. Unconsolidated sediments like sand, gravel, and silt are loose accumulations of mineral grains or organic matter that haven't yet been cemented. So, ang guys, ang kaning modification or unconsolidated sediments ay hindi siya na semento. Parang stuck lang yung liwa, stuck yung dalawang bato. So, yan, stuck siya. So, one of example din para sa is yung compaction, guys. Yung pressure of overlying sediments can squeeze pore spaces, reducing porosity and increasing in density. So, that's it. Yung ginamodify nila, guys, yung properties ng unconsolidated, yung hindi siya sinisemento. Yan. So, this is the amount of groundwater present in the unconsolidated sediments can significantly affect their mechanical behavior. So, yung halimbawa guys, pag madaming tubig, iba yung compaction nila. Iba yung behavior ng mga bagay yung unconsolidated sediments. So, pag madaming water siguro, it causes to deform. Ayan, parang mag-deform siya or hindi siya strongly compact. Ayan. It tri-state soils with a fine matrix silt behave as solids. Water clay is typically in this regard. When the ground gets wet, it proceeds to plastic stage, where it deforms under pressure and does not return to its initial stage but keeps its solid consistency. So, next. So, guys, next is the shear strength. So, the change in state also means that shearing strength of clay sediments diminishing with increased water content. This change affects of cohesion in particular. So, same lang sila nito guys dun sa unconsolidated. Pero ito siya guys, as you can see, I have an example here. More water in clay. So, di ba guys, pag madaming clay, madaming tubig yung clay, too much water, like about yung sa bricks. Yeah, too much water yung ginapangdikit or parang semento good for bricks to stick to each other, parang ginagamit para mag-stick sila. If too much water pala siya, hindi siya mag-compact to each other, mag-slide down lang siya. So, clay particles lose direct contact, making them slide easier under pressure, lead to lower resistance to deformation. This can cause problems like landslide and unstable foundations. So, the more water, guys, we all know that water makes like soil to maglambot siya. So, it causes this in the picture, landslide. Yes, that's maring mangyari pag hindi siya na-solusyonan. So, pag nabasa talaga siya ng tubig, it can cause landslide. And parang masira yung mga structure na yung ginawa. Next is swelling. So, swelling from the word swell, burot, nagburot. So, water can hydrate minerals that are potentially susceptible to swelling, such as a hydrated and swelling clays. Preventing this hydration requires powerful support structures to balance this stress. This situation is often encountered in tunnels where decompression of the rock mass along walls and humidity in the air promotes swelling. So guys, itong swelling guys, so ito magbasa ko ng example dito sa next slide. So this is a example of swelling, soil or rock behavior. Swelling can also describe the volume change or certain soils and rocks due to changes in moisture content. This phenomenon is most commonly associated with clay-rich soils, which expand then they absorb water and shrink when they dry out. This process, known as shrink swell, can cause ground movement and damage to structure built on top of it. So may mga soils guys na rich in clays. So this clay, when it absorb water, it expand or nagaburot siya. So it causes to ground movement, then na maring magka-cause ng damage sa iyong bahay, like mag-cracks, mga floor cracks, and mga walls mo nagka-cracks ng bigla. Kasi yun pala, nagburot yung ating grounds. So, nagburot siya. So, pag magayan, diba, pag na-deform yung ground mo, then, yun nga, maapektuhan yung structure na nasa taas, na nakabuilt sa taas. So, next is the rock dissolution. So, salt and gypsum bearings rock are easily dissolved, which can cause the formation of cavities along the walls of the engineering projects. This fascinating process in geology, where rocks are gradually broken down and dissolved by various agents, primarily water. It is a chemical weathering process that plays a crucial role in shaping landscapes and forming unique geological features. So, rock dissolution guys, ito ay constantly it caused by water lang guys, or other chemical contents na mag-cause na mag-deform ang isa ka bagay. So, like, pero mas mapansin ako is wastewater. Halimbawa, yung bato guys. Ang bato, pag parati mo yung ginapatuluan, or parati siya ginapatakan or drop by water, na parati siya mabasa, mag-deform yan siya by time. So, matuluan mo siya mga 10 years. 10 years siya na matutuluan palagi ng tubig. So, mag-deform yun siya guys, parang mabuslot po siya appeal, mag-deform siya. Like for example, this picture. So, we all know what this is, diba? It's so famous. So, that is the Easter Island Moai. The famous statue in Easter Island were carved from volcanic tuff or a rock susceptible to dissolution. Over time, the structures have been weathered and eroded, showcasing the powerful of this process. So, as you can see, makita natin parang nagbutas-butas. So, yan, it caused by the rock dissolution. So, nag-dissolution siya, guys, because of the weathering, it causes it to erode. So, as you see ito sa picture, nag-dissolution din itong mga bato dito. It causes by the water lang. But it takes time talaga for this process to happen. But it also really damage your structure also in engineering projects. Next is the corrosion. So, we all know this naman. So, it tackles about in our chemistry. So, na-topic nito sa ating chemistry about is corrosion. So, corrosion is a support structures. Groundwater can be acidic as a result of oxidation of HS into sulfuric acid, and it can corrode concrete and metal supports. Sulfate-rich waters attack the traditional concrete. So, we all know that corrosion is not good in projects, in engineering projects. So, hindi rin siya talaga maganda. Kasi it causes a great damage sa structure ng buildings. Lalo na yung building is mostly made in steel. So, grabe, ayan ang kalaban talaga ng steel, yung corrosion, yung kalawang. So, because also it causes by the groundwater, na it will also happen this kind of phenomenon na it can really great damage to the structure na maring na-cause ng malaking damage o maring cause din na madisgrasya sa mga tao na nasa building. Ayan. So, hindi siya talaga maganda. So, dapat din siyang agapan, and also the unit must know how to prevent this. So, next, incrustation of drainage system. So, drainage system installed around projects can have limited lifespan due to the precipitation of mineral salts and in the associated growth of bacterial gels. So, this common case is the plugging of drainage system boreholes and pipes with tufa. Masses of tufa can found around rings by the release of CO. Drains should thus be designed to be easily inspect and clean out of it if necessary. So guys, ito is incrustation of drainage system. So as you can see in the picture, so para nagkalawang sa loob. So it is not good, and it literally damaged the pipe. So masisira talaga yung pipe dyan because of this. And also hindi rin maganda yung flow ng drainage system. And because of it daw is because of the tufa. Yung tufa daw, masses of tufa. So, in order to prevent that kind of pangyari, para yun may prevent yun, so, drains should be designed to be easily inspect. Yung madali siya ma-inspect and malinisan siya if kailangan. So, yan. So, dewatering wells. So, yan, dewatering wells. Excavation into aquifers cannot always be drained by gravity. It is then necessary to pump them permanently to keep water out of the project, and this entails significantly long-term cost and low exploitation safety. So, dito guys, so, as you can see itong hydrostatic pressure guys, yun siya. Diba, as we go deeper, the pressure increases. So, parang ma-condition siya yung hydrostatic pressure. Parang yung sa mga bomba yan guys, mga water pumps. Yung bomba, diba? Ginadlagay siya ng tubo doon sa baba, yun sa lupa. And then, because merong siguro high pressure yung sa ilalim, that's why it causes the water to shrink up. So, magsaka ang flow sa water. Then, magkaroon ng flow ang water. Just parang mag-flow na talaga siya sa pataas because of pressure sa baba. So, dito naman guys, inid na talaga ng yung water pumps na siya. So, inid ng water pumps kay not all the times na kaya to siya na pangyari is mahitabo gid. So, for them to have permanently keep water to out, so they need water pumps. So, next is the compensation for threats to water resource. The partial or totally dying up of existing resource, particularly springs, often entails compensation to the water rights owners, which may often be significant. All these difficulties linked to engineering projects lead to decreased construction safety and extension of the duration and increased expenses. So, yun nga. So, mag-increase yung expenses dyan because of that. And also the project's duration. So, magtaas din siya. So, next is the hydrologic impacts of engineering projects. So, dito guys, malaman din kung ano yung impacts ng hydrologic sa engineering projects. So, most commonly, the discharge of a spring is reduced and in certain cases, it dry up completely. In rare cases, engineering projects can lead to increased spring flow or the appearance of totally new springs. The process that govern these quantitative impacts are often related to artificially drainage phenomenon that modify flow state. Modifications of geomechanical constraints can lead to permeability variation in joints, which can impact flow distribution. These disturbances are especially common in underground project dams. So, next. So, there are two types of qualitative impacts, which is the indirect and indirect impacts. So, direct impacts is due to substances that are leaching during construction and end up in groundwater. Indirect impacts that arise from threat to the natural protection of the aquifer as a result of the project or a modification of flow system in the late or case mixing process are disturbed and elevated concentration undesirable components can reach the aquifer outlet. So that's it. So let's proceed. So let's gonna tackle about the surface project. So ito naman tayo sa mga surface projects. So this classification includes all projects that only slightly penetrate the subsurface. They usually related to communications and buildings. Underground excavations to a depth of several meters are also included in this category. So, the first surface projects natin i-discuss is the roads on slopes. So, roads on slopes, also known as four slopes, result from construction of a roadway above the original ground level. Cut slopes, also known as a back slopes, resulting cutting away original ground for the roadway. So, as you can see dito naman sa picture, so parang nandiyan sa side ng sa side ng bundok. So, parang gikat yun siya yung surface and nag-cut sila dyan para maglagay ng roads. So, ito yung picture. Yan. So, since yan yung original form ng bundok, then gikat siya and to make a road. So, you can see there's an aquifer there and also a wall. In order to the soil na hindi siya mapunta sa lupa, sa road. And also there's a drainage system. May drainage diyan sa gilid. So, for the water, kung halimbawa mag-ulan, ayan, hindi magstay yung ulan yung tubig sa road and that's why they have a drainage system para hindi siya slide. So, kasi delikado kasi itong ganitong road kasi guys, kasi nasa gilid ito ng mga bundok usually. So, if ganyan basa, so prone siya sa disgrasya. So, iwasan natin yung ganyan. So, that's why there is a drainage system in order for the water to go there and to maintain a road ride para hindi siya slide. So, next is the roads on alluvial plain. On alluvial plain, the construction of subsurface linear projects necessitates either a permanent aquifer drawdown or the construction of watertight structure. So, yan. So, as you can see the first picture. So, yan. So, this is the first picture. So, this is the underpass beneath a railroad line on alluvial plain, keeping water out of the underpass by permanently lowering the aquifer by pumping. So, yan. Makita natin yun sa picture. That's it. So, there's a railroad sa taas and there's a highway sa baba. And also, there's a drainage system din sa baba sa ng highway. Okay? So, next tayo. Okay? This is the next one, which is a construction of watertight structure that is immersed in the groundwater. A barrier effect can be observed of the flow construction cause the flow of cross-section is significantly reduced. So, yan, makita sa picture, yan. There's a tight coating geomembrane dyan sa gilid, sa highway. So, dahil sa railroad sa taas. And also, there's alluvial water, groundwater dyan sa ban. Ka-flow siya padulong horizontally dun sa kabila. And also, there's upper impermeable substrate. So, next is the infiltration of pavement runoff. So, dito naman guys, runoff refers to the process where rain or the other surface water that lands on paved surface like roads, parking lots, or sidewalks soaks into the ground instead of flowing off as surface runoff. So, dito guys, ito naman guys, ito diba usually mag-ulan, ganyan. So, by this infiltration sa mga roads, so hindi na stuck doon yung tubig. So mag-soak in siya doon, So for then also to a good type of engineering projects para maiwasan yung mga disgrasya kasi we all know that kapag basa yung road, so slide talaga. So ako rin as nag-drive ako sa roads pag basa, so delikado, parang slide parang prone ka talaga sa disgrasya pag ganon. So, by this engineering projects, so, mag-soak in yung tubig in order para maging dry palagi yung surface ng roads para iwas din sa disgrasya. So, railroads. So, it is train. So, train talaga yung una isipan natin kung pag makarinig tayo ng railroads. So, railroad is a transport link located on the surface. Railroad are similar to roads in their impacts, especially because they use the same type of structure via ducts, trenches. They transport hazardous material. So, yes, ito guys, and also, i-discuss natin yung pagkakaiba ng railroads sa mga roads talaga. So, railroads are not as wide as road, which limits earthwork on slopes. Many lines are old and constructed, and embankments, those they do not have any subsurface extent. So, yan. So, ito yung pagkakaiba ng railroad sa road. So, also, this railroads then is a good type for transporting materials, yung madaming materials, huge amount of materials. Kasi kung sa road kasi guys, mayroong in case ng traffics, so din para maiwasan yung time cost, yan, para mas mabilis matransport yung mga materials na need i-transport sa ibang lugar. Next is the deep building foundations. Buildings with foundations that extend deeply into the subsurface can cause serious disturbance in the urban underground environments as a result of their damming effect. So, there are various types of foundations. So, dito guys, itong deep building foundations, ito yung parang meron silang ginalagay sa ilalim. Parang tusok sa ilalim ba? Tusok sa soil. So, makita natin dito, let's go sa support. Dito yung first example ng deep building foundations. So, piles generally, these are far enough apart so that the damming effect is minimal. So, the problem is different when piles are just juxtaposed to form a curtain. So, like, for example, may picture ako dito, i-explain ko ng maigi. So, yan. Ito yung ito yung piles. So, as you can see naman, so, lagyo siya. So, hindi talaga ka-effect yung damming effect, guys. So, minimal lang yung effect ng damming effect. Because, lagyo siya, lagyo yung pagkadikit-dikit nila. And also, the last one, ito. This is the slurry trench walls. The damming effect is completely if they reach the base of the aquifer. So, naabot naman nila ang pag na-reach nila yung aquifer part, so, the damming effect is really completely happening. So, ga-effect talaga yung damming effect dito kasi naabot nila yung aquifer. Yan, you can see that parang gi-stuck talaga sa ilalim ba. So, parang gi-stuck yun sa ilalim yan. So, next. So, reservoir dam. Reservoirs affect water flow from a rock massif because they cause a major rise of the piezometric level, which can cause modification of flow state system. However, this effect often not important because dam sites have been chosen their location in primarily rocks. It is important not to underestimate flow in fissures, which may play a major role in rock that is thought to be impermeable. So guys, ang reservoir dam, hindi ka basta-basta maglagay ng dams kahit saan. Kasi meron din mga classification na dapat nating alamin in order to huwag natin underestimate yung flow in fissures. So, huwag natin underestimate kasi ang dam kasi guys, ginapundo niya ang tubig. So, malakas yung pressure niyan guys. And also, dyan na yung mangyayari yung sabi ko kanina na seepage force. So, yan. And also, ang mga one of classification for the engineers to should know if naglalagay sila ng dams is the impermeable rocks. Kasi this rock is really hard and also help the dams to kasi itong rocks na to hindi siya basta-basta nasisira agad like soils. Kapag ma-expose ng tubig, ganyan hina yung kanyang cohesion niya, that causes to major damage sa dams. So, itong impermeable rocks is really have important roles for dams in this kind of dam, yung severe dam, itong mga impermeable rocks. So next is so dito naman guys, ito na yung malalaman ko ano yung mga prevention o yung mga ginagawa ng mga dams in order to lessen yung mga pressures ba, yung mga nangyayari sa dam kasi ginapunggan di ba nila yung flow ng tubig. So, naiipon yan siya. So, naiipon. So, malakas yung pressure niyan. So, ano ito yung mga ginagawa nila in order to prevent that pressure na mag-cause ng damage sa dam. So, first is the grouting operations. Grouting operation in the rocky foundations under the upstream portion of dam tend to cause the principal head loss to occur at this location. Downstream, in contrast, the rock mass is drained for the bottom to prevent any destabilization hydraulic gradient. So, dito na yung sabi ko ng seepage force. So, gagawa sila ng drainage system in order to destabilize this hydraulic gradient. So, para hindi siya mapundo guys, di magpundo tong seepage force doon, so para hindi siya mag-cause din ng damage. That's why gina-drain nila or ginagaag ng drainage system para mas destabilize siya. Next is hydroelectric dam. So, from the word electric, we all know that. So, parang ma-edit na tayo, what is it? So, hydroelectric dam provides a place to convert the potential and kinetic energy of water to electrical energy by using a turbine and generator. This type of dam is very may purpose siya ba, dual purpose. So may nagka-catch pa siya ng tubig provide, and also they provide electricity. So as you can see in the picture, yung tubig nagapapunta siya sa pinstock. And then papunta sa flow sa turbine. So as we know that while the turbine spin, it goes to the generator, and the generator will make the electricity going to powerhouse in the reference transformer and transmit it to the cables and to the neighborhood. Meron na namang kurente na like, hey, di na run out. So, ganyan. So, hydroelectric dams. That's it. So, next is the runoff river dams. So, runoff river dams is a hydro project using natural downward flow of river and market turbine generators to catch up kinetic energy carried by water. So, runoff river dams daw guys is this type daw guys is So, as you see the picture, di ba guys? Mayroong side canal, sila na watertight, receive, and also mayroong piezometric feed, piezometric surface. So, as you can see the figure 80, control of groundwater levels by side canal situation of dam when the side canal prevents the groundwater from rising. So, ang purpose ng side canal guys, for yung water guys, para hindi siya mag-flow ng mataas na mataas, para maintain lang yung kanya ba, yung taas ng ng tubig sa dam, para hindi siya magtaas talaga ng mataas. So ito guys, side canals, itong side canals sa gilid. So side canals are used for this purpose. This structure are used to prevent large buildup of groundwater behind the dam. By turning the water, they prevent deep depression below the dam by recharging the aquifer. Failing to regulate this level effectively causes multiple problems. For example, clogging of the side canals due to lack of maintenance can cause the following types of problems. In the dam area, flooding of building foundations, low soil fertility, drowning of all contaminant releases, downstream drinking water wells may dry up. In addition, the smoothing of peak discharge tends to plugging up riverbeds inhabiting the recharge aquifer that are in contact with the river. So, pag di dito na maintain yung mga side canal guys, kasi it does have a major role sa mga dams. Kasi para kuan lang yung natural na tamang taas ng tubig sa dam, sa likod ng dam. Kasi parang ano yung tawag yung term niya yun, bad? Na-regulate niya lang yung tamang kataas sa tubig na sa dam. Yan. So, next. So, quarry. So, familiar talaga tayo what is quarry, di ba? Quarry is a place where rock and sand or minerals are extracted from the surface of earth. A quarry is a type of mine called open pit mine because it is open to earth's surface. So quarries guys, so quarry siya is a type of mining pero sa surface lang ng earth. So aside from other mining, yung ginagakalot talaga sila pailalim para maghanap ng golds or something ganyan. So itong quarries naman guys, sa surface lang talaga siya. That's why we call it open pit mining. Okay, so also, although they are not engineering structures, properly speaking, quarries have various impacts on environment in general and groundwater in particular. Under the general term of quarry, we also include sand and gravel pits as well as rock quarries. There are 4 types of quarries, guys. So which are alluvial and lacustrine or marine, and scree and rock. So let's gonna discuss what is alluvial. So alluvial quarry is a type of surface mine where the target material is alluvium. So ang main talaga na gusto nilang kunin is the alluvium, which is a loose of mixture and sand, silt, clay, and gravel that has been deposited by the flowing water, typically in riverbeds and floor plains. So, ditong alluvial guys, this type of quarry is, ang ginakuha nila guys is yung mga na-deposit na mga sand seat sa isa ka river. So, as you can see in the picture guys, so may river dyan sa tunga. So, dira guys, there's about above groundwater table and below groundwater table. Dito guys, 'di ba sa mga river, so may mga dala 'di ba yun sa mga sand silt. Dito na quarry guys, yun ang ginakuha nila, yung mga alluvium, which is the sand and silt niya, nagde-deposit na mga river. So yan. Makita niyo sa mga sapa-sapa guys, yung mga balas-balas ba, yan siya. So, next is the lacustrine or marine. So, dito naman guys is kakaiba to siya na quarry. And first time ko rin itong malaman what is this type of quarry. So, exploited in water by dredging or sucking the gravels and sand primarily affects surface water. Basically, turbining in the back. So, dito guys, this type of quarry is ginasak nila yung mga graba or sand sa ilalim ng tubig. So, ito yung ganitong type ng sa ginasak na talaga lang ginasuyop nila ang mga graba, mga sand doon sa ilalim ng tubig. So, yan siya. As you can see dito sa picture, may boat yan and ginasak talaga niya. So, next, let's the screen. The exploitation of blocks and gravel from hillside present few problems from groundwater because the perch of position of this deposit does not favor the accumulation of important groundwater quantities of groundwater. So, dito siya guys, itong type naman ng ito is sa hillside siya ginakuha, yung gravel from hillsides, dun siya banda. So, next, the picture yan. So, next is the rock. In regions that lack alluvial gravel, rock is exploited and crushed to produce various aggregates. So, diba, pag times daw dito guys, pag kulang daw ng alluvial, yung alluvial gravel, pag kulang daw, sa rock, dito naman sa rock, sa mga bato. So, ginapaboto daw siya guys, o gina-crush siya, gina-crush to produce these aggregates. So, quarries this for dimension stone or ornamental stone are minority of quarries because these rock are hard. They generally have fissures that may contain groundwater. So, yun. So, next dito na tayo sa underground construction projects. So, first na underground construction projects natin topic is boreholes. So, boreholes is a recognized borehole installed for the construction of structures and prospecting of various types of deposit, mineral, hydrocarbon, geothermal, involve two principal dangers. So, as you can see in the picture, yan, dito sa first picture, which is a borehole, yan sa borehole, yan sa borehole, yung ginababa. So, this is a type of adverse hydrological effects from poorly ground mechanical borings or by piezometric tubes that have determined by aging, crushing, or sharing. So, this first picture is a pollution by surface water. So, itong next picture naman, yan, it is the bypass between aquifers of different hydraulic potentials. In this example, so, Gififerous water underground contaminates. So, yan yung sa baba. Kita natin yan, no? So, the under pressure contaminates a freshwater aquifer when sulfates rise up the annular space between the piezometric pipe and the rock. So, yan. So, next tayo. So, this is the underground galleries. So, underground galleries, this term includes tunnels and galleries and underground excavation more than about 10 meters deep. So, dito naman tayo underground galleries, guys. Ito yung mga sa underground na talaga ginagawa. Yung, underground nga. So, sa ilalim ng lupa. Which measured by about 10 meters deep. Aside from numerous impacts common to this type of structure, their unique function will also cause their own effects. The safest technical method and the most economical way to manage water in an underground structure is eliminated by drainage below the draft of the structure. So, yan. So, next tayo is, the first one is the water supply galleries. So, dito naman, water supply galleries are underground tunnels or passage construction to transport water from its surface to distribution network. So, dito naman guys, is ito yung underground distribution of water. So, sa lupa, ilalim ng lupa siya, ginadaan yung tube, yung mga pipes niya, then ma-distribute yung mga water sa ibang households. So, yan. So, next naman tayo is the railroads tunnels. Yan. Case of railroad tunnels. So, railroad tunnels are built up of providing passageway for trains to traverse obstacles that would be impractical or impossible to navigate over or around. They allow for more direct and efficient transportation routes, reducing travel and cost and times. So ito naman guys, railroad tunnels is napakagandang invention for transporting materials. Kasi this type kasi may times talaga na hindi na pwedeng sa surface on earth. Ayan, sometimes kasi hindi na kasi pwedeng talaga lagyan ng mga railroads. May ibang place yan, yan ba? So ito yung ginawang solusyon nila. So mga railroads niyan is sa ilalim na ng lupa gawin. So nagawa sila ng kwan, and also it is very efficient for transporting roads kasi one way lang to siya, wala nang liko-liko. So wala ka ng building na dapat iwasan, ganyan. So decision naman kasi, so magdig ka lang straight to that particular destination. So yan, maabot mo na yung time and also reducing travel time and also cost. So nakakatipid ka kaysa sa mag-travel ka ng iba your own. Yan, ganyan. So next is the case of highway tunnels. So for at least ito na tayong last topic. So last slide. So these highway tunnels are generally more modern than railroad tunnels. There are water waste is systematically collected in pipes and evacuated from the area. So this type of engineering projects is alam na talaga ng mga engineer yung groundwater effects. So alam na nila kung paano nito susugpuin and paano nito i-prevent. So they make pipes naman to evacuate from doon na dadaan yung mga water surrounding the system. So para hindi na mahirap or hindi na mag-cause ng damage sa sa kanilang project na ito na highway tunnels. So that's it. So natapos na tayo. So thank you for watching and listening, and I hope you learned a lot about this topic, and I hope you have a nice day and have a blessed day. Goodbye and thank you.